Senator Bates has a question.
Very briefly, Senator Leno, you mentioned that instant eviction takes place, and I was under the impression that those who are asked to leave have a due process, a timeline for that. Isn't there rules in your city of San Francisco that protect on the timeline for eviction?
I acknowledge a bit of hyperbole there. Right, it does not happen within 24 hours or 48 hours. It's a couple of months, and oftentimes a landlord or a speculator, more specifically, will tell the tenants, you've got 2 months or a month, or I'm going to evict you by the Ellis Act. Many people don't know their tenant rights. Sometimes they have the wherewithal to get informed, sometimes not. Sometimes they're offered $5,000 or $10,000 and they think that's better than being kicked to the street without anything. And of course, that will last them another month or two, but not much longer. And what we don't know is how many thousands of San Franciscans are threatened and fearful of what their fate will be if they don't get out. And so the speculator doesn't have to use the Ellis Act. They've just put fear into the heart of their tenants. And so they leave maybe with a few bucks in their pockets. And if you can indulge me just very, very briefly, interesting phenomenon. There is a financial incentive for the real property owner, whether she owned it 6 years, 8 years, 30 years, to do the evicting him or herself, because an empty building sells for more than a building with tenants. It's a fact. Financial incentive to do the evicting. But what we see happening is speculators buying buildings with tenants in them, and they do the evicting. So why would a landlord, a real landlord, not evict using the Ellis Act and sell an empty building? And the fact is, there's a human relationship between a landlord and a tenant, and it's not so easy to kick children, families, seniors, disabled out of their units. And so they sell it with tenants, and then the speculator, who has no history with these people, no relationship, has a lawyer do it for them. So despite the financial incentive, and this won't solve everything, because the real landlord, even with this bill enacted, can still do the Ellis Acting.
Okay, thank you. There's no further question. We'll call for the roll. The vote.
The motion is due pass and refer to the Committee on Judiciary. Senators Bell?
Aye.
Bell, I. Cannella. Allen? Allen, I. Bates?
No.
Bates, no. Gaines? Gaines, no. Galgiani? Leyva? Leyva, I. McGuire? McGuire, I. Mendoza? Mendoza, no. Roth? Roth, no. Wachowski? Wachowski, aye.
Senators, vote 5 votes in favor, 4 against. It's on call, please.
Okay, and should we need 6 votes?
Yes.
Should we not have the 6 votes, I would ask for reconsideration.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
We'll hold that item open till members who are not present be recorded on their votes. And thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
We don't have an right now, but you do have Mendoza, Bill, you have Bill, and McGuire has a bill as well. So,
Tony Mendoza. Tony Mendoza. Want to present your bill? McGuire, you got a bill? So you, him, and you. His bill and then your bill.
item 11.
Thank you. Members, at this time we'll call on Senator Mendoza to present his bill. This is item 11, SB 760. And Senator, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I'm here to present SB 760, which establishes a Disadvantaged Community Enhancement Act to support California's most distressed communities that face unique challenges in their efforts to improve infrastructure and environmental sustainability. A recent UCLA Luskin study, Envisioning a Greener LA 2014, found that certain areas in close proximity to freeways, goods movement corridors, and industrial facilities suffer from higher rates of asthma, heart disease, and other harmful health impacts, especially for children and the elderly. SB 760 creates a competitive grant program to direct cap-and-trade spending to projects in communities that suffer from high rates of poverty, childhood obesity, incidence of asthma, and will provide funding for projects including park redevelopment and land protection for active recreation, non-motorized trail and other active transportation projects, hardscape conversions to green space, sustainable community planning, land acquisition, and urban greening projects. This bill will serve to promote carbon reduction strategies and better air quality through investments in greening projects in and around communities exposed to greater levels of pollution. With me here today to testify is Mark Stanley, who is Executive Director of the Watershed Conservation Authority, and also Doug Houston on behalf of the Watershed Conservation Authority, also available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Witnesses, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Mark Stanley from the Watershed Conservation Authority and members of the committee. It's great to be here today. The WCA is a JPA formed between the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy and the Los Angeles County Flood Control District for the purpose of cooperatively managing the recreational flood control watershed resources within the San Gabriel and Lower Los Angeles watershed basin. Of the 4.8 million people within the WCA jurisdiction, nearly 2 million of those folks have been identified as residing in disadvantaged communities. This bill is representative of an effort to focus resources, and in this instance, cap and trade auction proceeds, to foster transformation changes in many of California's most industry-intensive communities. These communities bear a substantial burden relative to levels of air, soil, and groundwater contamination. WCA believes that the changes envisioned in this bill will lead to greening benefits such as new parks and green space development, urban heat island mitigation, hardscape conversions, and non-motorized improvements. It will do so in a comprehensive and bundled way. We think that this will radically alter the built and natural landscape in these communities, improving air quality and other community health indicators. We would like to join you in moving this item forward. We are fully in support of SB 760, and particularly as an agency on the local level and working within the communities, we would like to work with you in helping move this bill forward.
Thank you. Other witnesses, please. Yes. Okay, thank you, Senator Mendoza. We'd like to ask people who want to support this bill to come forward and indicate their support. If are there people that want to come up here and support the bill, please come forward.
Kyle Jones, Sierra Club, California, in support.
Good afternoon, Mark Fenstermaker with the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority in support.
Thank you. Other witnesses in support? Okay, thank you. Other witnesses not in support, come forward, please. Opposed? Other witnesses opposed? I see none. Senator Mendoza, do you have any additional comments?
No, that's it, Mr. Chair.
Questions from the committee? Senator Wachowski and Senator Roth.
Can you respond to the questions raised in the analysis of why this is even needed? It looks like the active transportation program covers all of this. SB 535 maybe that addresses the disadvantaged communities, provides 25%, another 10%.
We would like to be more clear, more specific. As you see, we want to add park development and land protection. We're going to change converting hardscape conversion to green space. We want to include land acquisitions and urban greening projects. There's a few things that we want to kind of more clarify and enhance in regards to 535.
But that's already allowed under the
It's not clear. I think it allows us to really focus on those communities that 535 might not have been too clear on. So we're just trying to create more opportunities that these communities that are being impacted have better chances of qualifying for those kind of grants.
But you're creating a new program versus clarifying the existing program and saying we want to specifically allow from conversion of hard space to green space, which I think is being done. Well, we just gave $25 million for the program, as the analysis shows up.
Doug Houston with the Watershed
You don't have the floor
Conservation.
yet.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Senator?
No, I would like to defer my
Okay,
answer,
thank you.
and I'll go ahead.
That's the way we do
Follow
it.
up, yes, thank you.
Sorry about that. So,
I'm a little different.
So the bill's a bit of a synthesis of a lot of existing programs. That is correct. More particularly, it borrows from the urban greening program, but with modifications. So what we're looking to do is really drill down in these sorts of communities and bring some significant resources to bear to these communities in these watershed areas, industrial intensive areas, comprehensive bundling of programs and dollars to address greening and in a transformative way.
There are some communities in our district and right outside of our district that are highly concentrated with companies, Vernon, Santa Fe Springs, Commerce, City of Industry, just to name a few. They're constantly trying to reinvent themselves and try to create more of a greener space in and around those communities. There's some communities that have old oil tankers that want to be converted into open space. There's other opportunities there that are in this community that are highly impacted by contamination, and we're just trying to provide more opportunities through these grants to make those communities a little bit better for the people that live there.
Other questions, Senator Roth?
Well, I just want to make, is it my turn, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure I understand, and my brain is a little foggy this time of day. Are we simply allocating the 20% that we dealt with in the budget agreement for cap and trade expenditures? Is that what we're doing here?
Yes, under the 25%, SB 535.
I think what you're doing is making it an eligible category. So you're specifying a certain list of things that could be eligible if the Strategic Growth Council decides to spend the money on that particular category.
I'm just trying to figure out
So
what's
it's making it an eligible category.
what bucket it comes out of. It looks like we had a budget agreement that provided 20% for affordable housing and sustainable communities grants in the 15-16 budget. And then, of course, we had SB 535 that talks about 25%. Is it the 20% bucket that we're talking about allocating?
We're talking about the 25%.
25% in Senator De Leon's bill. So in looking through the analysis, maybe I missed it, but what process do you have to ensure some, in looking at the factors that you're going to use, what process have you built into this to ensure some equitable geographic distribution of these funds throughout the state, assuming the other criteria are satisfied?
I think if we look at just a mere consideration from SB 535 that was passed last year, where it talks about the greenhouse disadvantaged communities, that's what we are encapsulating here, that the disadvantaged communities is such a vague term. With providing more of these opportunities and more clarity into what project can qualify, we're still talking about the same 25%, but if you're a disadvantaged community, you still qualify. It's just more projects available under that same category of disadvantaged community.
Do they all go to Northern California or Southern California?
If you go based on the same model, it's still any community that's highly, whether it be it's a community that are highly impacted because of that. Maybe rail, might be traffic. There's certain freeway corridors that are over polluted than others. Those are all under the disadvantaged communities and would qualify.
Okay, well, I just would ask as you move forward with this that you take a look at the geographic distribution issue and the factors that are considered in awarding the money, and to make sure that there is at least some factor built into the bill to ensure that not every dime goes to the highly urbanized coastal areas. There are probably some disadvantaged communities in inland, in the Central Valley and the northern part of the state, inland, and certainly in inland Southern California, and just to make sure that there's some application of criteria that ensure that there's some balance in the way the funds are distributed through the competitive grant program. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, other questions from members? I see none. Senator Mendoza, do we have opponents? I didn't hear any opponents, so we'll ask you to close, please.
Okay, thank you, Senator Bell. Mr. Chair, members, appreciate the questions, appreciate the consideration, and just respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Okay, is there a motion on this bill? Move the bill. Okay, there's a motion. Any further questions? Call the roll, please.
The motion is do pass and refer to the Committee on Environmental Quality. Senators Bell?
Aye.
Bell, I. Canella? Aye. Canella, I. Allen? Aye. Allen, I. Bates? Gaines? Gaines, I. Galgiani? Leyva? Leyva, I. McGuire? Aye. McGuire, I. Mendoza?
Aye.
Mendoza, I. Roth? Roth, I. Wykowski? Aye. Wykowski, I. 9-0.
Senator Mendoza is 9-0, and we'll place it on call for other absent members to cast their ballots.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members.
Senator Monning, welcome to our committee, and Majority Leader will present his bill, SB 344.